Hi, this is Mike Pettigrew, and this is launch week. This is launch week for my new book, The Most Powerful Goal Achievement System in the World, the hidden secret to getting everything you want. And I'm very proud of this book. It's the culmination of over 40 years of my research into human consciousness and the mind, and the pivotal factors that go to creating a happy and successful life. And I'd like to read two chapters, a very short chapter and another chapter that's a little bit longer today. And the book launched yesterday. The launch goes on for an entire week. And obviously this is quite an exciting week for me, because I'm really hoping that this book will get into the hands of many people who really need the message that it has, that everyone has the power to change their circumstances, no matter what someone's background may be, no matter what their current circumstances are, no matter how difficult anyone's current circumstances are. It is possible to get your life back on track, achieve your life's biggest goals, and develop a really happy, fulfilling life. So this chapter I'm going to read is called The Most Powerful Goal Achievement System in the World. Unlike other goal achievement systems that are made up of 30 or 40 complex parts, the most powerful goal achievement system in the world is made up of only 7 simple steps. However, if you want to make sure you achieve your goals and achieve them as quickly as possible, then it's very important that you use each one of these steps correctly. Please do not skip any of them, as doing so could greatly diminish your results. You owe it to yourself to create a life of abundance, true happiness, and deep fulfillment. And you can only achieve these when you pay attention to each one of the 7 steps. Everything is kept simple, so that it is very accessible, and so that you can start getting results quickly. These steps are what's most important, and nothing has been left out. Your first few weeks in this journey are actually the most important, because when you start getting results right from the start, your confidence will build and you will be more empowered. This in turn means that you can start achieving bigger and bigger goals as your confidence grows and you become more proficient in the system. The 7 steps to getting everything you want. Step 1, decide what you want. If you don't already know exactly what you want, don't worry, because in step 1, you'll find out exactly what you want. You'll do brainstorming sessions that will enable you to set clear goals for each major area of your life. Step 2, create highly charged goals. In step 2, you will create condensed goals that include a powerful motivating factor. This will help you to inject emotional power and energy into every goal that you set. Step 3, give each goal a deadline. In step 3, you'll regroup your goals into short, medium, and long-term goals, and you'll set a specific deadline for each goal. Step 4, program your mind. In step 4, you'll convert your condensed goals into powerful affirmations that program your mind for success. You'll also learn how to overcome negative thoughts and use creative visualization and other powerful mind programming technologies to speed up the process of achieving every one of your goals. Step 5, plan for accelerated success. In step 5, you'll create highly effective action plans that will help you to move towards each of your goals more quickly. You'll also discover how to use mind mapping and focusing questions so that you can keep moving towards your goals in the fastest, most efficient way possible while eliminating wasted time. Step 6, become a high performer. In step 6, you'll start using the same strategies and habits that high performers use to achieve their goals more quickly. You will also discover how to save time and accomplish more each day. You'll also learn how to reduce stress and improve your performance in every area of your life. You'll also discover powerful methods to plan your days and find out how to dramatically improve your health, energy, and brain power in as little as 2 minutes. Step 7, overcome limiting beliefs. In step 7, you will take back full control of your life again by finally rooting out the negative conditioning that's been holding you back since you were a child. Conditioning that has been preventing you from achieving your life's biggest goals. You will also learn how to overcome that conditioning so that you can achieve your goals faster and a lot easier. Magnifiers. In addition to these 7 steps, you'll also find 6 magnifiers spread throughout this book. These magnifiers can greatly enhance your results. Not only can they speed up the achievement of your goals tenfold, they can also enable you to become deeply happy and fulfilled, and they can bring a greater sense of meaning and purpose into your life so that you become truly unstoppable. So that's the first short chapter, and the second chapter that I want to read is called You Can Achieve Anything You Want. What do you want from life? I mean, what do you really want to achieve? If I were to wave a magic wand so that anything could be possible, what would it be that you would create for yourself? Would you like to travel more? Or perhaps lose a few extra pounds, or even start a new career, one that you absolutely love? Do you want to have happier, deeper and more fulfilling relationships? Or maybe work less hard, make more money and have more free time? You can achieve all these goals, but they won't come about just by accident. There is a recipe for achieving your goals. It's a strict formula that, when followed to the letter, will allow you to create the ultimate lifestyle and the life you are born to live. So why is it that many people don't achieve their goals in life? In fact, a lot of people hate setting goals, and this is because they believe they might fail. Then if they try and fail, they become even more disillusioned, feel more disempowered, and doubt themselves even more than they did before. So it's no wonder why goal setting can be an uncomfortable topic. However, the fact is that unless we set clear, concise goals, we are forever doomed to drifting and reacting to changing circumstances. In the next chapter, we'll go into the reasons why you need to set goals, and in a lot more detail. But for now, let's focus on what you want to create in your life. If you ask any highly successful person whether they just fell into success, you'll find that this is rarely the case. Success is always the result of setting clear goals, planning the journey towards achieving those goals, taking consistent actions, and overcoming all the blocks in your way. Your beliefs have power. Have you ever considered just how much you hold yourself back? It takes courage and responsibility to admit that you are probably your own worst enemy when it comes to achieving your goals. It's the inner blocks to progress that sabotage most people's chance of achieving their life's biggest dreams. This is because what you believe is possible totally dictates what you can and cannot achieve. If deep down you believe you are unworthy, or not clever enough, or not capable enough, then these beliefs will prevent you from achieving anything really substantial in your life. I became acutely aware of this a long time ago, as my own low self-worth created my first really big problems in business. This was back in the 1990s, 3 years after I started an office plant rental business. The first few years, like most businesses, was very difficult. I was on a financial roller coaster. 1 month there was plenty of money, and the next month I was almost starving. And as I expected more difficulties, that's exactly what I got. These cash flow problems were all due to my own low self-worth. And the roots of this problem grew many years before, in childhood. When I was a child, I had asthma. This meant that I couldn't run very far, or I would end up coughing, spluttering, wheezing, and even fighting for breath. My classmates discovered very quickly that I was useless at sports. So whenever they were choosing who would be on their sports team, I was always the very last choice, the one left standing alone. Nobody wanted me. In fact, they used to argue over not having me on their team. They used to say things like, "We don't want Pettigrew again, he's useless. No way are we having him on our team." I used to hear this again and again and again. And when you constantly hear other people saying negative things about you, you can start to believe them. And the more you hear those things, the stronger those beliefs get, especially if there is clear evidence that reinforces those beliefs. This conditioning from my classmates didn't just affect my ability to play sports. It also had a powerful effect on all areas of my life. In my teens and right into my early 20s, I honestly believed that I was useless at most things. I was clumsy, awkward and shy, and I often felt out of place and very self-conscious. My life was dominated by beliefs that I was worth very little and that nobody would want me. I was the sort of guy who would go up to a girl at a dance and stutter and stammer and get rejected every time. It was very painful, and I was acutely aware of how my shyness in particular was preventing me from experiencing all sorts of wonderful things. Several years later, I started my first real business, and it was in an area in which I had absolutely no experience. I studied electronic engineering at college, and I always really loved science and technology, and I still do. However, after leaving college, I immediately started job hunting, and I went around knocking on doors of technology and electronic companies. Quite quickly, I was offered 3 jobs. 2 of them were in electronics, and the other was in sales, and I took the sales job. For me, this was very surprising, as I could never have imagined that I would be involved in the world of business. In fact, I used to tease one of my friends at college because he was studying business, which I thought was incredibly boring. That job that I was offered in sales was as a result of me knocking on the door of a telephone company. Their rationale for offering me my first job was that I knocked on their door selling myself, so why not send me out knocking on doors selling their telephone systems? The reason why I took the sales job was that the pay was far better than the other 2 jobs that I'd been offered, and I would effectively be my own boss, and I would also get a company car. So I accepted their offer and got started right away. And less than 2 years later, I broke up with my girlfriend, who I'd been living with, and I was completely devastated. My work began to suffer, and a few short months later I was fired from the one and only job I ever had. That year my life changed in every way imaginable. I lost my first great love, my home, my job and my self-esteem, which had finally started to grow, albeit slowly. A crisis can be your best opportunity. Looking back, it would have been almost impossible for me to have imagined what lay around the very next corner. 9 months later, I started my own first real business, selling and renting tropical plants to offices, hotels, banks and shopping centres, thanks to a small loan given to me by my parents. I got my first contract on the very first day. I could hardly believe it when the new client handed me a cheque for £1,500 without any evidence that I could even install and maintain their plants. Of course, I didn't tell them that it was my very first contract. This was just before Christmas 1987, and Ireland, where I lived, was in the grips of a deep recession. January came, followed by February and March, and no new sales came in. I started to panic and even broke out in eczema with the worry of what might happen soon. From April onwards, I started getting a few new contracts here and there, and gradually my very small business started to grow and my contract portfolio increased. I took on my first member of staff the following September with the deep nagging fear that I might not be able to pay them a regular wage. Thankfully, my fear was unfounded because my time was freed up to make more sales and get more new clients. Now, the first few years were a financial roller coaster, and 3 years later it was still hand to mouth a lot of the time. At the end of 1990, I was on a training course in Japan, and while I was there, I made a deep vow to the universe. I already had a clear vision of what I wanted my business to become. My goal was to have such a high income after the first 10 years of business that I would only have to work 2 days each week, and that I would be able to spend most of my time doing voluntary work. I achieved that same goal 7 years later in 1997, which was exactly 10 years after I started that business. Now, in 1990, all of this was still far off in the future. But I completely realized that in order to achieve that goal, certain things would have to change. And I certainly needed that change because of the constant financial roller coaster that I've been experiencing over the previous 3 years. Now, as soon as I returned home from Japan, I immediately hit a brick wall. I discovered an even deeper hole in my finances. The amount of money that was coming in from my clients over the next 2 months was a lot less than the amount of money I needed to pay my suppliers. How was I going to survive? How was I even going to be able to eat? How could my business possibly get through this? And what could I do to not let my suppliers down? These were just some of the questions I was asking myself, and there appeared to be no workable solution available for any of them. I even started to make plans to fold up the business and to live on social welfare instead. I really couldn't see any other way forwards. Then it struck me that if I closed the business without first trying new things, I would have just wasted 3 years of very hard work. There had to be a better way, and fortunately there certainly was. You can't achieve big goals if you have low self-worth. During that year, I also had a series of experiences that highlighted to me that I had low self-worth. For example, I was wasting money on things that I did not need or value. I didn't really understand that money is an exchange of time and effort spent contributing to other people's lives. So if you waste your money, you are in effect devaluing your own time. For the first time, I started to realize in the core of my being that all my money problems were due to the conditioning I had received in school when I was a child. For many years, I had believed I was worth very little. And I began to realize that I would have to change this if I wanted to be able to rescue my business. So I made a big decision. And it seemed a little crazy, but I really had nothing to lose by trying it. I decided to double all of my prices. It was a risk because if my clients didn't agree to the massive increase, then I would have no business anymore. On the other hand, if even half of them agreed, then I would make twice as much money for exactly the same amount of work. So I wrote a letter to each one of my clients explained that we had to increase our prices quite dramatically to be able to continue providing them with the same level of service that they had come to expect from us. Amazingly, every single one of those clients agreed to the 100% price increase. I was astonished, especially when one client told me that he had always felt that we were far too cheap for the service we provided. From that point forwards, my business grew rapidly and the profits grew enormously. I also started doing several other things to improve my self-esteem and self-value. As a result, I quickly started to discover that I had all sorts of abilities I never knew I possessed. For example, I started composing music, even though I still can't play the piano. I also slowly but surely started to speak in front of larger and larger groups of people. The exciting thing is that when you do challenging new things, your confidence grows, and so does your vision of what might be possible for your life. Everything starts improving dramatically as soon as you focus on improving your own self-worth. And later in this book, I will share with you powerful new ways you can improve your own self-worth and your earning potential. As a result of improving my self-worth, 7 years later, I had achieved most of my biggest goals in life and had reached the point where I only had to work a day and a half each week. The rest of my time was spent doing voluntary work and giving back to society in a meaningful way, which was exactly the goal I had set for myself. I also had an amazing lifestyle, and I travelled the world visiting all sorts of exciting and exotic places. I used to travel every January for between 4 and 6 weeks, and whenever I returned home, my business would still be thriving due to the system I had created that allowed me to run my business on virtual autopilot. By the time 2001 came around, I was a millionaire, and towards the end of that year, I sold my business to a multinational. I clearly remember one day that year when it suddenly struck me that I had finally achieved all my life's biggest goals, and I was still only in my 30s. The magic is within you. I assure you, I'm a very ordinary person just like you, and if I can do it, you certainly can too. I've gone from rags to riches and from having very little self-worth to achieving my life's biggest goals. What you believe to be possible for you really does determine everything. This is exciting stuff because it can change the very fabric of your existence and all the experiences that you attract into your life from this point forwards. You really are what you believe. Whatever you want from life, it's possible to achieve providing you are determined to make it happen and willing to learn new things. And in this book, you'll discover a clear strategy to achieve all your goals, an exciting new system that will allow you to root out and overcome all the blocks to your progress. With this book, you can finally turn your dreams into reality and create the life you have always wanted. The magic to make all this happen resides in your own mind. And step by step, you will learn how to harness that magic so you can transform your life and achieve all your goals faster than you may have ever dreamed possible. The first step to making all of this happen is to set a goal for yourself, because a goal creates forward thrust and momentum in your life. When you set a goal, it immediately creates change and sets in motion a series of events that move you forwards to a happier and more fulfilling life. So the summary of this particular chapter is you can achieve anything you want, providing you set clear goals and follow a specific formula that will bring them to fruition. You can achieve anything. Your beliefs have power. What you believe completely determines whether you can achieve your goals. Fortunately, you can change your beliefs. A crisis could be your best opportunity. Facing and overcoming setbacks gives you the power and resources to achieve any goal. They act like a springboard to success. You can't be rich if you have low self-worth. Your self-worth determines your earning potential. Improve it and your finances can improve dramatically. The magic is within you. You already possess everything within you that you need to become highly successful. You can achieve your goals by using this powerful system. So thanks very much for joining me today. As I say, this is launch week for my new book, The Most Powerful Goal Achievement System in the World. And this book really can change your life. It has that power. It's set out with lots of practical exercises right from the start, right through to the very end. So it's really a workbook. By the time you get to the end, you'll have made a lot of progress. You'll have made a lot of progress, and you can start seeing results really quickly. Because when you start seeing small results right from the start, your confidence grows. As your confidence grows, your vision of what's possible for you also grows, and each step in the system builds on the previous step. So by the time you get to the end, a lot of things can be changing in your life, and it's a bit like pulling the corner of a spider's web. You pull the corner of the spider's web, the entire web changes shape. And when you start making just a few changes within yourself, the entire web of your life changes, and what you can attract into your life changes. So thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to sharing more from my new book with you very soon. Cheers.